Greetings, Internet, and welcome to an unboxing of Munchkin Starfinder. My box came today. I kickstarted the crap out of this, so they sent me everything. And I mentioned this in the previous episode of That Munch Life, that it was winging its way across the US towards me house. And it arrived today. Today is the 10th of May, and I am going to open all this up for you. I will show you everything that's in it, and then I will look at the cards and I will go through and show you some of my favorites. The piece de resistance in here is this little certificate here, which I will read for everybody. I will even do this. This certificate counts as a +3 combat bonus in any game of Munchkin Starfinder, as long as the bearer is level 1. The bonus goes up +2 for each signature below, up to a maximum total bonus of +9. This certificate confers no bonus after level 1. And the signatures you can get are Steve Jackson, Howard Taylor, who did all of the Paizo art in here, and Andrew Hackard, who developed the game. So we are going to get a frame for this and put it over on the wall over here, so you'll be able to see it during games, and I'll be able to lord it over them to say, haha, I kickstarted, I get a +3 when I'm level 1. Har har har. This is the Starfinder poster. I will be opening all of these during the pause, but this has some extra cards in it as well, a rule for the poster, I don't know what that is yet because I haven't opened it, and a couple of bookmarks for the Kickstarter backers. The Munchkin Starfinder Starfield, which is for it's the level counting board, which you've seen on several other of the deluxe edition Munchkin sets. I have Steampunk, Shakespeare, a couple others. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles will also come with one of these in their art style, which that'll be awesome. There are level boards for pretty much all of them. Anything with the deluxe edition. So Star Munchkin, Munchkin Fu, all that good stuff. So you can get level counting boards for a lot of them, if not all. The one for the Munchkin Apocalypse Guest Artist Edition is pretty freaking sweet. I still want to get that one. It's round, and it looks pretty awesome. I suggest checking that out. The boosters that came with it, I also haven't opened them because I love you people out there, and I had to wait all day for Tank to bring me the memory card for the camera, and I was at work. I grabbed it on my lunch break. I came home and it was on the porch, so I just kind of took a cursory look at it and then went back to work, and I've been sitting here ever since, waiting for him to come by with the memory card so I could actually open all of them. See? Unopened. They're sealed. But there are 3 boosters that came with it. There is the Hero Pack, the Swarm, and the exclusive booster to this box, to the I Want It All box, which will be available to the general public in several months. So it will be available, but only in this this booster will only be available in this box. I believe that they'll be selling these boosters separate when it all comes out, and you can just buy Starfinder by itself. And so the exclusive booster is Space Goblins. So more goblin goodness. There is a 6 dice. These are freaking beautiful. The blue and orange is just like like mother of pearl, blue and orange. It's freaking great. Blank cards could be pretty good. Oh, because Tank and Corey don't watch these, I'll let you guys in on a little secret. I have ordered something from Warehouse 23. I ordered a Munchkin Fu shirt, which shirts have their own rules to them, so I'll get an extra rule with that. It says Pun Fu Master. So you'll see that on the next episode. That'll probably be the title of the next episode, whatever the hell we do, unless something really spectacular happens. But also, with that, I have gotten blank Munchkin Apocalypse cards. Because I ran out of blank cards to write stuff on, like when we get the dungeon of Ridiculous Races, or the one with the classes. I can't remember the name of it right now. Stupendous Skills. Because we don't go through the deck to look for a racer class. We just write it on a card, on a blank card, because we know what all the we know what all the rules are, and we also have the Munchkin thingies download, so that makes life easier too. And if you saw the last episode, we got the Ridiculous Races dungeon, and we both chose, because it was just me and Tank this week, so we played Epic and everything, we both chose a Munchkin Starfinder class race, and then immediately rolled for the Singularity, or rolled for a seal, got the Singularity, and it took them away. So we didn't get to actually use those races. So they're still unknown to us, but we have the rules for them, and now we have the cards. And let's see, there is the kilometer. This thing is pretty spectacular. When I open it, I'll show it off, but so you see it in the package. It comes with a couple of cards as well. I'll be able to tell you what those are. There are, the box says, over 280 cards, because we kickstarted the crap out of this game. The best add-on thing, in my humble opinion, in this box is cred sticks. These are metal. These are metal, and they have a special rule to them, and they're pretty awesome, and I'll show those off after the unpackaging as well. And they come with a few cards and their own special rule, which I'll read later. And then we have the core game itself, which, as normal, comes in a box this big. Starfinder and the expansion, Starfinder 2, far out. So I'm going to go look at all of this stuff and then open everything, and then I'll come back and show you all my favorites. Well, get back. Hi, welcome back. For you, it's been like half a second. For me, it's been a while. There's a lot of stuff here. So we'll get right in to the core game, then the expansion, and then I will read pretty much everything in the boosters and the extra cards that come with the extra stuff, and we'll go through that as it comes along. So some of my favorite cards, if you've seen me do this before, you know what's coming. I'm going to just read some of my favorite cards, and we'll save the rest of the reveals for the actual game, which will be this week. This week's episode will be just Munchkin Starfinder and all of its components, and then after that we will shuffle it into the representative sample that we have of the Deck of Doom, so we'll see those cards a little more often until we run out of those cards. Then we won't see Starfinder for a while until we reshuffle the whole deck. Standard operating procedure. It seems to have worked for us so far. So just to start off, the go up a level card, find a star, roll credits. And then the item here, the Hollow Skin, is for purposes of monster bonuses and penalties. You choose one class and race to project at the start of any combat. So you pull the monster, it goes, oh, it has a giant bonus against Kasatha, but I am a Vesk. I'm not going to be reading any races or classes from the core game or the expansion, because there's the hero pack is just the races and classes. I'm going to read them all from there. And so I'll tell you all of the rules for the races and classes when we get to that booster. The hygiene kit. Play to force a player of higher level than you to help you in combat, unless the combat would be for the winning level when you play this card. A very important clarification. You must need the help, so you can play it like, oh, I'm level 8 and you're level 9. I need your help with this card. And then you play a Gwal. Ha ha, now it's for the win, and you have to help me still. He can't back out just because you played a Gwal. There's other things that actually say that. Man, I can't remember the name of it right now, but it says if it's for the win, then you can't enlist the help of someone, and if you make it for the win, they get to back out. This one specifically says not that. The forged papers, which just says you can have an extra ship. Discard this if you have no ships in play. But the best part is the note that's on there. Yeah, pause and read that, but I'm going to read it to you. It says, Harbor Master, my patient gets one more ship. Thanks, for real, a real doctor. I love that. The Screamer Grenade. Play during any combat, +2 to either side, unless you scream as you play it, in which case it's +5. And we know that I'm really good at the whisper screaming, where it's not really louder than the conversational level, but it's still a scream. I yell at Corey a lot when it happens. Discover an ancient artifact. It's a unicycle. I just like that one. And my favorite ship that I've seen in the main deck is the Nova Spawn, which has some really crazy rules on it. If you roll a 1 to run away, the Nova Spawn begins parturition. Look it up, kids. You may discard it at any time after this and suffer no penalty, but if anyone rolls a 1 to run away once parturition has started, you die. That's pretty swanky bad stuff on a ship. I mean, it's a +5 ship, so you don't want to get rid of it. But, and so it entices the other players not to take out of the bag to roll 7s instead of 1s. So that could be very interesting for the game. So that's in the treasure pile, which I find interesting that the ships in Starfinder are in the treasure deck, because the ships in regular Star Munchkin and regular Munchkin and well, not regular Munchkin, Booty, Munchkin Booty, the ships are in the door deck. So that's interesting. We're going to be finding ships in both decks when we reshuffle, like nobody's business. So from the door deck, we have the Swarm Fuzzies. I just like the card art, and Tank is going to love that too. Now, by the way, I didn't finish my thought earlier. I got the Munchkin t-shirt from Warehouse 23 and the blank Munchkin Apocalypse cards, which include blank seals. So I'm going to be making some seals and shuffle them in and not tell them. And then they'll get these crazy seals that I made. I'm not going to give them any, like, redonkulous powers or anything. It's going to be like, everybody dies. Actually, one of them may have that. Like, everybody rolls, and, like, anybody who rolls lower than a 2 dies, or a 2 or lower dies. Actually, that's pretty good. But I digress. There's a lot of seals, blank seals in the pack, so I got to come up with some ideas. Tell me in the comments, what's ideas for seals? Curse, Solar Flare. Discard an equipped item. Every other player must now discard an equipped item or items giving the at least as much total combat bonus as the item discarded. If they don't have enough, they must discard all their equipped items and lose a level. That's fun. I like the title of this one. Of course you realize this means swarm. Which just makes the next monster you face a swarm monster. The stacking rules in this one are undead, swarm, and goblins. all 3 different stacking rules in one game. And there's undead goblins, an undead swarm, and there's a goblin swarm, and an undead goblin. So we can combine all of those. And in the big mixed game, there's dragons, and there's kung fu monsters, and there's goth monsters, and bats. I should write all of those down. There's a lot of them. This one's fun. This is a curse. Luggage got routed to Galarian. Discard all your in-play, unequipped items, or all treasure cards in your hand. If you have one but not the other, that's the one you have to lose. So that could be quite fun. Like, I have all this stuff in my backpack, I'm going to sell on my turn. All gone. Curse, Ego Moss. He's just giving away all this stuff. When you are affected by this curse, at the start of each of your turns thereafter, discard a card from your hand. The curse is lifted when you lose a level or by using a wishing ring. So it's kind of the less frantic version of the Hungry Backpack. Carrion Spores. It's a curse. You have -5 against the next swarm or undead monster you face. And keep this as a reminder until then. And yes, it's -10 if you're unlucky enough to fight both kinds of monsters simultaneously. Oh, this is we're into monsters now. The Anhamut. The bad stuff is great. Suffer the effect of the top curse in the discard pile, and it's inevitable, so you cannot cancel it. Ooh. The Witch Word, which is kind of, it does a switcheroo on you, and you could work it around to make the bad stuff advantageous for you, which will be good for one of the races. We'll get to that later. Take the top door discard, and then discard all the other doors in your hand. So if you don't have any doors in your hand, you just take the top door discard. Or if you have crappy ones. This one is just for tank, the Skittermander. Isn't he cute? The Sharpwing Egg, which there's a Sharpwing in there too. It says, if the Sharpwing is in a player's hand or in the door discards, add it to this fight, and it gets +5. Like, you don't have a choice. If it's in your hand, and you're another player, and the egg comes out, you have to play it. Alright, that's all the preview ones from the main game. Let's go to the expansion, Far Out, and start with treasures. This one is the Dream Silk Cloak. It's basically a bard skin cloak. When you draw a treasure after combat, draw 1 extra treasure, and then choose one of the treasures you just drew and discard it. It's the bard power, but in a cloak. It's pretty awesome. Dead Blade Poison. Play when you suffer the bad stuff of a monster to replace the actual effect with "you are dead," so you can kill yourself. However, it goes nicely with the Electroencephalon. While this is equipped, treat all death effects as you lose a level. When you use this effect, roll the die. On a 2 or less, it burns out, discard it. But if you have this, and you take the bad stuff of death, you just lose a level, which could help you out a lot if it's, you know, give every other player all your stuff or something. And then this monster has one of the funniest puns in the whole game. The level 3 Han. You may not have a helper in this fight. You must fight the Han solo. Love it. Curse, Crystal Failure. You have a -1 to run away. He says it about him. And it says, someone replaced your fuel crystals with ground coffee. We've secretly replaced the fuel usually used in this ship with Folger's crystals. Let's see if they notice. They noticed. You can lift this curse by discarding a ship or using a wishing. The level question mark. We don't get those. That's a new one. The Reptoid has the same level as the player to your left. And if you have a helper, add the level of the player to their left as well. It could be good, it could be terrible, terrible, terrible. Again with the puns, the level 1 swarm monster, Swarma. You guys ever try Swarma? Alright, so we just have a few of those. Alright, that is all of the preview cards for the main game and the main expansion. Now, each of the other doohickeys that it came with also have a few cards with them. So, after I read the boosters, then I'll get into things, and I'll show you the things too. Like, I know I showed you them in the bag, but now the bags are open. This one, the first booster, is Space Goblins! And they all have little rule sheets with them, which I will read to you. If you have played the Pathfinder role-playing game, or Munchkin Pathfinder, especially with its expansions, you are well aware of how murderously adorable Galarian's goblins are. It's little surprise that their spacefaring descendants would be just as adorable and just as murderous. Goblins can stack with each other, just like swarm and undead monsters. We made very sure to include some crossover monsters so you can have the full experience of monster after monster piling into your fight. You're welcome. But these are all goblins, and there's 3 goblin-related treasures at the bottom. The Dog Slicer Mark II, which the Dog Slicer is in Munchkin Pathfinder. The Goblin Skyboat, which is a ship, which has an interesting rule. If you are -1 to run away, if you are fighting 1 or more goblins and are losing, you can discard 1 item to end the combat immediately without having to roll. So you can do that whenever you're losing to goblins, as long as you have this ship. And the +2 bonus, the Horse Roaster. Double bonus against monsters with at least 4 legs. F you, horses. Goodbye, horses. And all of the goblins, the Brain Feeler. He looks like Yoda. He senses great hostility from everyone. Bazduv, lose your armor. If you don't have any armor, you must tell everyone at the table a secret, but it doesn't have to be yours. The Dead Shirt. The Deep Tinker, which is search the treasure discards and add the top 1 shot as a bonus to the monster side. That could be ridiculously interesting. The Wrench Banger. Wrench Banger, no footgear in that combat. The Zapparator. He has no special powers other than being a goblin in space! It says that in real big letters. The Go That Where. It's like a Pathfinder, only little and goblin-y. +5 if you find her by looking for trouble. She'll help you find it. The Grubburner. No fire or flame against him. Honcho Head. He's a very screamy goblin. He can screech like nobody's business. If you aren't wearing headgear, you cannot use your hand items this turn because you're covering your ears. The Ship Herder. +3 against Munchkins without a ship. The Tech Taster. When he enters the fight, roll the die. On a 2 or less, he slobbers all over your item with the highest combat bonus, discard it. And the bad stuff is roll as above for all your other items too. It's Friendly Gaseous on steroids. And the Big Head Bughead, which is the Goblin Swarm. If you have another goblin, +5 if you have another goblin and another swarm monster in the fight. They're like, oh, I'm Goblin Swarm. Oh, I have to already Goblin. Oh, darn, what's it like a level 1? Oh, I have a swarm, and things get bad from there. And the Owie Fixer. Goblin medicine is awfully, well, violent. That's the Goblin Booster, so that'll be fun. Plop. And then Munchkin Starfinder The Swarm, and this is obviously swarm monsters and swarm related items. In the Starfinder role-playing game, the Swarm is a threat lurking in the periphery, an alien race that nearly destroyed the Pact Worlds and could very well come back for another attempt. Even with their erstwhile allies, the Shirin, switching sides, victory is by no means assured. In Munchkin Starfinder, the Swarm is a new kind of stacking monster. You can add swarm monsters to any fight that already has another swarm monster in it, just as with Undead and in many other Munchkin games. And because we know how much Munchkin players love their monsters, there are a lot more swarm monsters to liven up your games. Good luck. And rots of ruck. So the swarm-related treasures, which I like this one, the Swarm Repellent, which is a one-shot, sorta. Play during any combat, +4 to either side, usable once only, unless you use it against a swarm monster, in which case you may keep it and use it again in later combat. It's just raid it. Raid! The Larva Lamp, +3 or +5, has the higher bonus when you're fighting swarm monsters. And the Blasteroid! No bonus against swarm monsters. That's a shame. Okay, this one, it also has a couple of curses that are swarm-based. Curse, Stellar Nursery. This is insidious. If you found this by kicking down the doors, takes effect immediately and starts a combat. Otherwise, you may play it on any player when they are in combat. Search the door discards and pull out all level 1 monsters. They join this combat. In a combined game with the Deck of Doom, if the Fern, the Basket of Ferns, which require you to get a helper or you just lose, or the Spyfly, or James Bomb, which make it so nothing else counts except guns and I forget what James Bomb needs. I know the Spyfly you have to use guns, but I don't remember what James Bomb requires that you use. But it's not something common, I know that. And then the Cursed Stomach Bug. You ate something really unfortunate. Suffer the bad stuff from the top swarm monster in the door discards. If that bad stuff is death, lose 2 levels instead. And then we have all our swarms. The Fanatics, they're fans of the show. Diaspores. The Long Hornet, Kong's Hornet. The Hocus Pocus Locust. The Cosmic Rays. Yep, I don't have it. That's Amore. Undead Swarm, Dead Bugs. +4 between 10 PM and 6 AM. This will probably never come into play on the show. Any fans of the Doors out there? Riders on the Swarm. +4 against Munchkins fighting alone. That's a fun name. Thermites. 3,000 degrees. Immune to fire flame attacks. This is, the name of this is a card that I actually drew like on a blank card long ago, and it looked different because it was just an idea I had because I liked the pun. The Meteor Swarm. And you can see me talk about that on last week's episode. And the level 18 Swarm, the Head Louse. Will not pursue anyone of level 3 or below, and it kills you. So that's the Swarm booster. Alright, and now the Hero Pack, which has all of the races and classes in it. It says Munchkin Starfinder has a lot of classes and races, more in fact than we've ever put into a core Munchkin game before. The trade-off is that we couldn't put as many of each as we usually do into the game, and we couldn't put any at all into Munchkin Starfinder 2 Far Out. To make sure that everyone has enough of all the classes and races they need, we've created this hero pack with one more copy of each class and race, plus another Super Munchkin and Half-Breed. These will shuffle right into your copy of Munchkin Starfinder and will be particularly helpful if you are also including Starfinder 2 Far Out, and some other expansions and accessory cards and blah 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 blah, which I have all of them. So, Super Munchkin Half-Breed, and now I'm going to read all of these because I want to have it for posterity. And you can also download Munchkin thingies, you can see all of the rules that all of these have. Or you can just listen to my buttery announcer voice tell it all to you. Envoy. Improvisation. If a one-shot is on top of the treasure discards when an envoy is fighting a monster, the envoy may use it. And Negotiator. An envoy may discard 3 cards to turn a failed runaway roll into a success. Mechanic. Exocortex. When you are fighting alone, you may discard 2 cards to count your level twice. Custom Rig. You may equip a single one-shot that gives a combat bonus as a slotless item. Roll the die after each combat. On a result of 3 or less, you must discard that one-shot. You may not voluntarily discard it. So that'll be fun if you have, like, the Calendar Stone. No, the Calendar Stone. I forget what it is, but it's like a +10 one-shot. And so that's that would be a +10 permanent unless you roll a 3 or less, which we're drawing out of the bag. That's a 66% chance to keep in every combat. Mystic. This is actually the same rules as it is in Super Munchkin. So it's reality control. You may discard 2 cards to reroll any die roll you make. The original roll doesn't count. And Sorcerer's Soul. Anytime you are killed, you may choose to lose a level instead of dying. Operative. Exploit. When kicking down the door, the operative may draw the top door discard instead of the top card of the door deck. It's like Cleric without the discard. Booyah. And Trick Attack. When an opponent plays a one-shot against you in combat, roll the die. On a 5 or better, which is 50-50 for us, it counts for you instead. Solarian. Moat. Roll the die when you enter combat. On an even result, you have +2 for the fight. On an odd result, you have +1 to run away. Stellar Mode. Once on your turn, not during combat, you may discard your whole hand, minimum 3 cards, to draw 2 doors and 2 treasures, all face down. So it's like dying and redrawing, but in a non-fast start game. That's the old rules. Soldier. Bigger guns. Each time you level up, you may, if you wish, discard any item and draw a face-down treasure to replace it. And better guns. You get a +1 combat bonus for each equipped item that uses at least 1 hand, which would have been fantastic in that game last week when I played when I got the race of Veggie from regular Star Munchkin, and I had 11 hand items. Because Veggie has unlimited hands, but it can't wear headgear, footgear, or armor. Technomancer. Magic Hack. You may discard a second card at the same time that you play a one-shot with a combat bonus to double that bonus. Wow, that'd be great for the doppelganger. Like, oh, right, I double my level, my combat bonus. 2 times. And Cash Grab. When you win a combat, you may take any one-shots played against you as part of your treasure draw up to the maximum number of treasures you would receive. Android. Reboot. Instead of the usual death effects, you merely discard your hand. You may not take or be the target of any actions until the start of your next turn, when you draw a new hand normally. And enhanced targeting. When you fight more than one monster, you get +1 per monster. Kasatha. Forewarned. You may look at the top door card before kicking down the door. After doing so, you may choose not to kick down the door, going directly to looking for trouble or looting the room. Which, that'd be great, just like the, ooh, no, you draw that on your turn. And forearmed, you may use up to 4 hands worth of items. That'd be really sweet. La Junta, which is not to be confused with a La Quinta. Antennae, when you're not wearing headgear, you have +2 in combat. Yay, free headgear. And Daze, when you are the target of a curse played by another player, roll the die. On a 6 or better, the curse hits that player instead. It's like the Magnificent Hat, sometimes. The occasionally reliable Magnificent Hat. Sheeran, Swarm Heritage. Sheeran get +2 when in combat with at least 1 swarm monster. And Communalism. When rolling to run away, Sheeran roll twice and choose the result. This happens before any other effects that might alter the roll. Vesk. Armor Master. Vesks get an extra +2 bonus to equipped armor. Fearless. A Vesk may choose to forego a runaway roll and draw a face-down treasure after suffering the bad stuff, if any. May not be used when the bad stuff is death. So it's like, who's your headgear? I don't have any headgear, so take the bad stuff and draw a treasure. And Isaki. Isaki? Yeah, I think it's Isaki. Cheek Pouch. Isaki get +1 for each unused one-shot they have in play to a maximum of +5. Small and Scrappy. Isaki get +5 in combat against a monster that grants 2 levels when defeated. That'll be interesting. Alright, that's it for the boosters. Now we go for the random cards that came with the other things. The Munchkin Starfield, which is the level board in this one. He's very pretty. You see it? There we go. He's very pretty. I like it a lot. So that'll be used, and it comes with the tokens, just like in the regular ones, where you just put it down 1, 2, 3. But this one also has secondary tokens that come with it for whatever color you are. I always call blue for life. And the secondary token for blue is +1 to all footgear. There's also +1 to all headgear on yellow and orange, and yellow and red. And then orange and green have +1 to all. Oh, wait, purple and green have +1 to all armor. You get what I'm saying. It's armor, headgear, footgear. There's 2 of each of those. And then you get to choose one of those at the beginning of the game. That's pretty awesome. And then males one side, females the other. And then that came with 4 cards. Curse, Cargo Impounded. In your next combat, the monsters have no treasures at all, regardless of any other modifiers you might have. Ouch. And the level 4 monster, the Nihili, +5 if no other player is the same level as your character. And the +2 Ring of Fangs. And the level +3 Pain Claw, which gives you a +1 to run away as well. That's some nifty art there too. And then the Starfinder Kilometer is very pretty. I like the purple, and on the other side is red, because Munchkin side, monster side, just like all the other kilometers. But it also comes with a few cards. Curse Moldstorm. Lose a level, lose an extra level if you aren't wearing headgear. Yoruk, which is a level 8 monster, +5 against Munchkins without headgear, who are deafened by their calls. The Necro Grenade, alas poor York. Boom! Play during any combat, one non-undead monster disappears, granting neither levels nor treasure. If it was the only monster in the fight, combat is over. And the +3 armor, the Fossil Wrap. has no bonus against undead. And then the Starfinder dice, which there's 3 and 3 of the orange with blue dots and blue with orange dots, and these things are friggin' spectacular. I hope they focus in nicely there. They are beautiful. There are 6 of them, 7 total, because the core game comes with 1 die. It came with an extra blue one. So we have those all shuffled all into the bag. They go. But they're freaking awesome. I think those dice are beautiful. And then my favorite card that comes with those is the Explodey die. Play after you have rolled a die for any reason. Roll it again. Or roll a second die. And add the results together. If you roll exactly the same number, you may keep rolling and adding until you get a different result. So if you use the Explodey die and you have a couple of loaded dice, you could get a really good roll. Which would be great for the card that lets you roll a die and get that many treasures, which I have successfully rolled a 7 on before. I believe that's the die that, or the card that came with the dice bag. I could be wrong, but I think it did. And then it has 2 monsters and a curse with it as well. Contemplative. Roll all 6 drift dice. Set aside any pairs. If you get a triple, set aside 2 of the 3. Add the leftovers as a bonus to the monster's combat strength. So that could be really bad. Because if you roll 1 through 6, it just gets that bonus. It's 11, 15, 18, 21. Or in our case, 27. Symbiont. +5 if you have a helper. And the bad stuff is, it latches onto you. Place this card in front of you immediately, and then at the start of each of your turns, subsequent turns, roll 1 of the drift dice. On a 6 or better, discard this card. Otherwise, discard any other card. So that could be fun. And curse, scavenger slime. Roll 1 of the drift dice and multiply the result by 100. Discard an item or group of items worth at least that many gold pieces. Curses. And then the exclusive cards and bookmarks that came with the poster. This is a Kickstarter exclusive poster. It's pretty amazing. I will put it in front of me and I'll show it to you, and then I'll read the rule. Look at that. It's pretty great. I hope all of it gets in the picture there. But the rule on the bottom here, I'm going to flatten this out and put it on the wall later. Rule, once per game, as long as this poster is on the wall in the space where you are playing, you may use the class and race from 1 character on this poster instead of your own to determine combat bonuses or penalties. So it's not an overpowered rule, it's a fun rule, and everybody gets to use it. Everybody is having a good time. And then it comes with 3 cards. The Space Goblin is just a little goblin in space. The Rick Ricci. +2 for each monster in the combat with it. Except it's not Swarm or anything, so once you find a way to add Swarm, and then Goblins, and then Undead, and then Bats, and Dragons, and Sharks. And Bad Dragon Sharks. And the level 8 Surnok. Surnok. +5 against Munchkins without armor. And the bad stuff is lose your armor. If you don't have armor, lose 2 levels. Which, you know, if you lost, you probably lost because you didn't have armor in the first place. And then it actually came with 3 exclusive bookmarks. And the bookmark of Gaming the Solar System, which works as a Super Munchkin or half-breed card. I'm summarizing for that. The bookmark of Skittermender Shenanigans, which again, Tank is going to love that. and it's basically friendly geishas because it takes your stuff. I'm not going to go all the way into it because they'll be played at some point, and you'll find out what they are. You have to watch the show. You should watch us. We're funny. And the bookmark of Space Goblins of Go-Go. This one's fun. Show everyone the bookmark so they can satisfy themselves as to what you say it is. That's always the first rule. In a commanding voice, proclaim, surprise, it's Space Goblins! Roll the die. That many Space Goblins join the monsters already fighting, giving it a +2 bonus for each Space Goblin added. If the Munchkins win, add 2 treasures to the rewards from the fight. If the Munchkins lose, they must discard an item in addition to any other bad stuff. And then give this bookmark to the player whose combat you so rudely interrupted by the Space Goblins. So, that'll be fun. Space Goblins. Go. And then, again with my favorite, I unwrapped all of the cred sticks. I want to show, this is front and back. It comes with 6 of them, but here's front and back. Make sure it focuses in on them. The detail is really cool on these. And yes, they're metal. Oh, they look so neat. There's like a little city on the front. I guess that's the front. And then I'm guessing a swarm symbol on the back. But that's just a guess. And they have their own rule, which I'll read to you now. Cred sticks. In the Starfinder role-playing game, cred sticks are the next best thing to actual treasure. Gather enough cred sticks and you can buy your own way up to the top. Using the cred sticks before the game, give 1 cred stick to each player. If there are any left over, you may put them in the center of the table, or remove them from the area depending on how cutthroat a game you like. The cards included in this pack give you some things that you can do with a cred stick. I'll get to those in a moment. In addition to those rules, you may also discard a cred stick to the center of the table to cancel a card as it is played on you or into a combat you are part of. I think that'll be what it's used for most. To change a failed runaway roll into a success. Sorry. Or avoid giving charity. Which, that'll be fun to have like 67 cards in your hand for 1 turn. Once per turn, you may claim a cred stick in the center of the table by taking an action that would allow you to gain a level, selling items, killing a monster, go up a level, playing a go up a level card, and choosing to take a cred stick instead of the level. Exception: you cannot do this if you are at a level that requires you to kill a monster to advance, level 9 or 18-19 for epic games. If you die, you lose all accumulated cred sticks, but you may take one when you draw your new hand of cards. Consider it a life insurance payout. So, hooray, you get a cred stick. So those things are freaking awesome. And these are the 4 cards that came with it. Collect your pay. It's a go up a level card, says you may also take a cred stick if one is available. Boom. Well funded. +5 to monster per cred stick. Play during any combat. The monster has +5 per cred stick that has already been discarded or is discarded to power this card. So all the ones in the middle of the table are the bonus for this monster. If the monster is defeated, draw 1 extra treasure for each +5 it gained. So if there's 5 cred sticks in the middle, it gets a +25. But if you actually kill the damn thing, you get 5 extra treasures. The Reforian Skyfire Pilot. I believe I said that correctly on the first try. Any player may discard a cred stick to give this monster a +3 or -3, as chosen by the player discarding it. And the bad stuff is lose a cred stick if you have it. If you don't, lose the level. And Cargo Auction. Starting with the player whose turn it is and going left, each player may discard a cred stick to draw 2 face-down treasures. So, cred sticks for treasures. Alright. I know that was a lot to process, but if you stuck with me through the whole thing, grats to you. Be sure to watch this video, or watch the next video when we actually play the game. And I almost forgot, the box itself that it came in has its own level, or own rule. It's on the side of the box. It says, you may mark this box to claim an extra level and an extra treasure after you kill a swarm monster. This cannot give you the winning level. So boy howdy. I believe that's a real life one shot that I would only be able to do that once, unless I use a pencil, I guess. It doesn't say I can't. And isn't that the spirit of Munchkin to begin with? But yeah, watch our show and tell us what you think in the comments. Tell me anything else you want to in the comments. But in the meanwhile, be sure to like, share, favorite, subscribe, pay it forward, send us money, be excellent to each other, and we'll see you next time.